Hi there, it's Brendan Mooney here. What I wanted to do was really to talk a little bit about being prodigal children and what that feels like, especially in Holy Week. Here's something from Pope Francis, which was, and he said this on the 4th of June 2014 at a general audience. Be brave, respond to the love of God with enthusiasm as beloved children. Respond with trust when you return to the merciful Father. As prodigal sons or daughters, rejoice always for the grace of being children of God and bring this joy to the world. So there's something there about being loved by God and forgiven by God and safe in the constancy of God's love that's a source of joy. So taking that theme, I'm going to go back to when I was a young man, and when I talk about a sin that I committed or a failure of honesty. So it was 1985. I was a postulant with the Carmelites, the Discount Carmelites, and I was based at a parish in in Buckinghamshire called St Joseph's Parish, Gerrard's Cross. And I remember one day I was just feeling like I wanted to do something normal. I wanted to just do something human, and and I decided I was going to go and see a movie. And I was, rather than saying I fancy going off to see a movie, what I did was I said I was going out for a really long walk. And I walked from the place where the parish was, just outside of Gerrard's Cross, and walked into Gerrard's Cross town. And I got to the cinema there, and there was a movie on called Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. And I thought, that's the movie I want to go and see. And I paid my money, went in to see the film, and loved it. It was kind of just doing this kind of naughty, normal thing. I think I probably got a popcorn or something and a drink, and really kind of made an afternoon of it. And then I walked back to the Priory for evening prayer. And when I got back, Hugo, the person who was my formator at the time, said, "You've been gone a really long time," he said to me. "Where did you go?" And I thought, oh, how do I get around this? I said, I walked into Gerrard's Cross. And he said, what did you do there? And I said, just walked. All this time? I said, yeah, I walked a long way around. Well, I was clearly lying through my teeth because I felt embarrassed that I'd been caught out. And I know that he'd spoken to another couple of members of the community about it. And so a few days later, I felt guilty, and it was Saturday morning, and there was confessions in the church, and Father Michael Miners was the priest who was hearing confessions, and Michael and I were good friends in the community. We got together very well, and I went to confession, and bless me, Father, for I've sinned. I said I lied this week, and I did something and I told someone that I was responsible to. That I'd done something different. And he said to me, "Well, I know who you are," he said, "and I know what you did." And so what I did was, I kind of, I was forgiven. It wasn't some grave mortal sin. It was, not, I think you have to do something really bad to kind of, sever your relationship with God, like murder or adultery or something. But anyway, I did that, and then I went to Hugo afterwards, and I said to him, "Look," I said, "I've got something I need to tell you," and I told him, and he kind of smiled, and I think what he knew, I was about 21 at the time. I was young. I was still kind of discerning who I was as a human being at that time, no matter discerning who I was as a future Carmelite, which I didn't go on to do, of course. And he was really understanding, and I kind of felt this sense of relief and release that came with that I'd been honest. And so there were two honesties in that day. One was I was was three actually. I was honest to God, first and most importantly, in confession. I was honest to Michael, the confessor, who was able to take a kind of an understanding and sort of humorous kind of sort of understanding of that, and then honest to Hugo and Father Hugo, and then it was done. It was done. It was over. But I thought the thing was that there's just something about honesty and openness and the freedom to be honest and open in a relationship. And I knew that telling Michael and I knew that telling Hugo was not going to ruin my future. It wasn't going to mean I wasn't going to go on to the novitiate or I'd be in big trouble or anything like that. And I trusted that relationship. I trusted that. But most importantly, I trusted God's forgiveness. I trusted that mercy and love. And it's not that, God is not looking out to catch us out. God is not trying to find a reason to condemn us. You know something? I kind of felt that sense of almost a bit of a chuckle from my community members, but I also felt a kind of chuckle from God as well. This really was the kind of filial, loving, tender relationship that I had with God and we should all have with God. I think back then I was terribly scrupulous, and my journey ahead after that was not an easy one for lots of reasons I'm not going to go into now, but there was something about that simplicity that was, God's okay with us. God loves us just as we are. We don't have to be anything or do anything or achieve anything. We can be like the prodigal. Remember with the prodigal, the prodigal son was standing outside the house, looking way ahead for the son to return. And when he saw the son coming back, he ran down the road, and the son and he met, and he clasped in his arms, and and the sort of the story was that that he said, "Welcome home, my son." That you that was lost was found. I think when I sort of was grasped by the father on the road back from watching Teen Wolf, sort of, God, I'm really glad that you didn't get tied up too much with worrying about telling the truth about Teen Wolf. But something, I think there's nothing we can do, nothing that will separate us from that love. And the sacrament is not meant to burden us. It's not meant to make us feel bad. It's not meant to make us feel terrible. It's meant to be a kind of an affiliative, open tenderness between you and God, where you kind of whisper in God's ear, "Look, I've done this," and God holds you as he held the prodigal and says, "It's okay. I've got you. You're in my arms. You're safe." Now, right now, because we're on lockdown, we can't get to a priest to do that. But do you know something? When we say sorry to God, even if tonight you went out and you, I don't know, you robbed a bank, or I'm not saying you should do that, or you joined in an orgy, or if you, I don't know what it might be you might have done, if you came back to God and said to God, "Look, I am really sorry. I am weak. I'm broken." God's not going to cast you away because you can't get to a priest and say, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been so long since my last confession." God will just embrace and love you in that moment, and it's fine. Everything is put right. We don't actually have to make a huge amount of effort to obtain God's forgiveness, and that's the kind of the ludicrousy of it in some ways, that we can really, really screw up badly and there's no penalty. We have to just say that we're sorry and say we'll try again, and God loves us. So I think the really important thing is trust in God and allow the joy of knowing that God loves you infinitely to permeate the whole of your being. and fill you with joy and peace and happiness. God bless. Thank you.